You're about to enter the world of Strawberry Ice and the Ice Cave. Let's go!
The league rule was you're not really supposed
Probably
to
take him out of that conversation. And
He started from absolute scratch.
I would draft Aziz Ojolari or any.
Nobody's doing 7-step drops
playing,
right
playing tackle for him. So
Right.
it's
He's almost 22 years old. Devonta Smith, same thing.
You just can't. You can't do that. You can't do
I
that.
thought that 2010
that he should be in the Hall of Fame, and they put him in after he is gone. So that's why
to fill the stadium.
I remember you guys saying that.
It's crazy.
I see that he's taken the non.
But overall, that line wasn't better.
No,
They still.
He's talking to the refs and saying, "Hey, I'm not going to get those calls."
he's coming. He's coming, and he's being section 158 with me. So
These guys have learned basically since they've been in the major leagues.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of, Jackpot Joey Burrow and Coach Paul Brown. Now, do me a favor, if you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button, smash that thumbs up. I'm up to 1,309 subscribers. That is awesome. And if you guys are listening to it later on the podcast, welcome to the show. You can download it on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, podcasts, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. So if you can't watch it live, you can listen to it on the podcast. Now, I'm being brought to you live from the Ice Cave here in Cincinnati, Ohio. But the Ice Cave is sponsored by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. So if you want to sponsor the Ice Show or sponsor the show, hit me up on email or Twitter or Instagram or any of the other social media platforms that I am. Now, today, we are in on Facebook in Who Dey Nation. So if you guys are watching on Who Dey Nation, what's up, y'all? How you guys doing? And if you're making comments, make sure you either allow StreamYard to use your name or you just go to the YouTube channel and you can subscribe there and you can comment there and your name will pop up. Same thing with Twitter. Make sure they allow you to put your name. If not, go to YouTube and subscribe to my show. Also in the YouTube channel, we have the super chat. So if you want to support what I'm doing, give me a super chat. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, I had to say this. I had all this stuff lined up what I was going to do, and which I'm still going to do it. But then Blacklight Productions copied me on this thing, tweeted it out of this Bengals hype video. I might play this thing twice, but I have got to play this thing first because hopefully I'll play it again when I get more viewers, but I got to play it right now because it's so freaking cool. So check it out. It's on my Twitter timeline. It's on their YouTube channel. I think Blacklight Productions is on YouTube. Go check it out, but listen to this thing. If this doesn't get you hyped up, then nothing will. This might be the theme song for the Bengals season this year. Go ahead, check this out.
Let's go. In the night, stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black, and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite in Cincinnati, we gon' rise in in the jungle, we unite in dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, everything day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle, dripping heat. Tigers strike the city streets. East side, stand up. West side, stand up. If you reppin' who they, time to put your hands up. Bengals stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we get it. Cincinnati, jungle fitted. Who they in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we build it. Earn our stripes, you know we kill it. Bleed our jungle, yeah, we live it. Lit the crowd, get the city loud. Yeah, we feastin' now. 50 pounds, make the city out. Now we beastin' now. Thunder through the tunnel, from the sideline to the huddle. Stripes be tatted on the jungle when we flex that who they muscle on. Stripes, Cincinnati, we gon' rise in the jungle we unite and dripping orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Now who got 'em, who rockin' on? Now who want 'em, who crossing on? Now who want 'em, who bought 'em? If you got stripes, then you let the city know you rock 'em. Yeah, we got 'em, yeah, we fought 'em. Like that black and orange up on 'em. Bingo bought 'em, never stopping till the beast of feasting on 'em. Who ain't rockin' with the diamond stripes, flossing on the ring? Cincinnati, she's our queen. We gon' show the world who king. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who day we ignite and Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and dripping orange and black and white. Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Now who got 'em, who rockin' on? Now who want 'em, who crossing on? Now who want 'em, who bought 'em? Who day when we fight, live and die in these stripes.
Oh my God, that is badass, dude. I'm in here dancing and everything. I'm old. I can't dance. I don't care. That gets me hyped up. That is freaking awesome. So shout out to Blacklight Production. That's all I know. I know somebody asked who the artist was. I don't know. If you are watching the show and you can comment on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, let me know. That was badass. I might listen to that before every game. Whew. Okay, I have to calm down now. All right, so let's get to what's going on with the Bengals. They are going to play the football team this Friday night. And, excuse me, Dan Horde and Marissa Contapelli had the make sure I get it right so they don't hopefully copyright me. The Medical Mutual Training Camp report. I got some clips from it. So Dan asked Mixon. He said, are you on a mission this year? You know, are you trying to make up for last year or whatever? But basically, are you on a mission? And this is what Joe Mixon had to say.
Very special guest in the middle of the screen at his Bengals running back, Joe Mixon. Joe, thanks for coming on. It seems to me that you are a man on a mission this season. Is that a good way to describe your mindset? And if so, what's the mission?
Man, that's definitely what it is. The mission is, number one is ultimately, man, to go 1-0 every week. That's number one. Number two, just really to produce and be the best teammate that I could be.
He is a man on a mission. That gets me excited because I think Mixon can have about 2,000 total yards from scrimmage this year. Now, find out who the person who did the video was. Grift Vader. I think that's what your name is. I hope I'm saying that right. Dude, that was badass. You need to make more stuff like that. And thanks for allowing me to play it on here. I really appreciate it, but that was really, really cool. All right, now let's get back to what else Mixon had to say earlier today. And Marissa Contapelli asked him because Mr. Bengal, Dave Lapham, was not available to do it today, I guess. So Marissa filled in for him. And she asked Joe his thoughts on first-year running back coach Justin Hill.
Getting to know him and getting to work with him over the course of camp.
It's been great working with him. To be honest, he stepped into a role where it was a lot expected from him, and I feel like he's definitely exceeded every expectation asked of him. He's definitely a detailed guy, but one thing about him, he definitely makes things a lot more simple than I've had in the past recently. So I appreciate everything that comes with Justin. He lets us be us, and he lets us just, do whatever we need to do to get ready for whether it's the practice or the game and things like that. He tells us what we need to do, give us tips and things like that. Other than that, he sits back and just let us go play football. And like I said, I love everything about it.
So he loves everything about it. So we got a new running backs coach. We have a new / old offensive line coach. And this is all to get the offensive line and the running game on track. And there has not been a bigger cheerleader hype man about Frank Pollock than Joe Mixon. So Dan asked Joe his thoughts about Frank Pollock.
Speaking of assistant coaches, when Frank Pollock came back this year, you expressed excitement immediately on social media. Why?
Honestly, because what Frank brings to the table. Frank, he has his own persona to him. I think that he's definitely an outspoken guy. He definitely expresses the way he feel about running the football and also protecting the quarterback. And I love everything about him in that aspect. He's definitely, to me, a leader of the pack. And I think that, of what he expects of his guys, it's like I feel like everybody should expect that out of their guys, being a coach. And he brings the best out of them. And, a guy like me that's the running back, I can't do nothing but appreciate him for that, because he only upped my game, to be honest.
And again, that's Joe Mixon's thoughts on Frank Pollock and Justin Hill and how, like I said, I think Joe Mixon is going to have 2,000 yards, 2,000 multi-purpose yards from scrimmage this year. And it's kind of cool. And I kind of want to get this narrative out there to get away from the national media that we didn't do anything for the offensive line. They're going to stink, yada, yada, yada. Because, by the way, I have to tell you guys this. And not everybody's on TikTok. I'm on TikTok, and I made a Jamar Chase video about when he caught the pass and Jonah Williams got there and destroyed, and I'm saying destroyed the Buccaneer defender. And I said something, I can't remember exactly what I said. I said something, Jamar Chase is AFC North. Jamar Chase is coming for you. You should be scared or something like that. And oh my goodness, this Brown fan just went off on me. I started laughing. I was like, dude, I said, you must be scared. Because, I mean, he's like, there's like 5 paragraphs of, you guys aren't going to do that. You can't keep Joe Burrow upright, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's all the national narrative that we don't have an offensive line. Now, yes, could the Bengals have done a little bit more? Yes, they could have done a little bit more. We could have went out and tried to spend a whole bunch of money and sign Joe Tootie or some of these other guys, but they didn't. But they did improve it, and I think Frank Pollock is helping that. And Joe Mixon thinks the offensive line is improving as well.
Working hard this offseason. They got a lot beefed up, and they got Frank to coach them. Be on their tails 24/7. Make sure they're not slacking and slipping up, and they appreciate it as well. But I think one play that I remember in the Tampa Bay game in the preseason was just last week. The linemen, how they were firing off the ball, in a 4-minute mode. I thought they did a hell of a job. Coach was just dialing it up. Day one training camp rules. And, it was probably the second, third string line. I can't remember who was in, but them guys are firing off the ball and removing people and displacing them. And the running backs was finding daylight, things like that. When you get them lanes and stuff like that, like we love it. We appreciate it, and we try to do whatever we can to make the most of it. But like I said, they've been doing a hell of a job with running the football and being physical, and I love it.
So, yes, again, I just want to get the out there that the offensive line has improved. Joe Mixon is extremely happy about the way they're playing. I'm happy with the way they're playing. I mean, like I said, if the baseline is Saturday night and they just go up from there, I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. Let me get to a quick question here in the chat. Knox Ashman, I think that's how you say it. Quick question. Did our O-line coach quick question. Did our O-line coach a former Bengal? Which Bengal are you talking about? He coached a lot of former Bengals because he was the offensive line coach before. So, yes, he did coach a former Bengal. But if you're talking about a Pacific one, I don't know for sure. And Alex says, there are so many places for Burrow to spread the ball. It's hard to predict anybody's total yardage this year. I agree with you. But, dude, like everybody's saying that all 3 of our guys are going to have 1,000 yards receiving. As long as we win, I don't care who gets what. To be honest, I just want to win. But let's get to some kind of sad news for for a former Bengal, and like I retweeted, once a Bengal, always a Bengal. And as reported earlier today that Carl Lawson suffered a Achilles injury, and saying if he tore it, he's out for the season. Now, this just came out right before I went on the air. Is that Rich Sim and Dan Horde, I think, retweeted this, that Carl Lawson is out for the year. So that sucks for Carl Lawson. And to me, and I'm not trying to dance on anybody's grave at all, but that's a thing that usually happens to the Bengals. So are the winds changing? We're going to have some good news for us this year. I mean, but I really feel just terrible for Carl Lawson. I don't, that stinks. But let's check this out. If you guys follow T. Higgins on Twitter, I need to get these. Like, if anybody can tell me what store they're at, I want them. I want the box. I want the bottles. I want all of it. Now, I'm going to drink the beer out of the bottles, but I'll put them back in the box. But I want this. This is so cool. It's a Bud Light Bengals tea box. It says, "Let's go tea." That is so freaking cool. So I would love to know where you can get these at. I tweeted out. I asked T where he can get it at. He hasn't answered me yet. I'm hoping he will soon, but I cannot wait to get those. Let's see. Oh, here you go. You said Knox. Let's go with Knox. My bad. Is our former coach, Jim Turner. My bad. Our former O-line coach, Jim Turner, played for the Bengals. Are you asking me if he played for him before? I don't think so. I don't remember if he did. If he did, he wasn't very good, and he wasn't a very good offensive line coach. But as far as I know, he did not. So, yeah, and Jackpot Joey said he posted the same thing about the Bud Light bottles, and Josh says, I need someone to ship them. Ship those down to Florida. There you go. That's my man. Yeah, you better get me one. No, I'm just kidding. But I want to find those. I want like I said, I'm going to drink the beer, and then I want to put it up here in the ice cave. Now, we have a very special birthday today from the greatest Bengal of all time, the greatest offensive lineman, left tackle, I think, in all of football. Is none other than Anthony Munoz. And I can't believe he retired in 1992. I can't believe it's been that long ago. But happy birthday to Anthony Munoz. Like I said, the greatest left tackle ever. So if you guys have not got a chance to tweet him out or message him on Facebook or anything, go ahead and hit that up because, he's always worth it. All right. Jack. Whoops. There you go. Let's see. Jack. It's too bad that the Bengals franchise as a whole only know how to lose. Let's go Ravens. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. We'll see how much we lose this year, dude. But see, that's the comments I'm getting. I'm telling you, I mean, these rat birds and clown fans are scared. I think it's awesome. Like, hey, it's all fun. I don't care. You're right. We haven't won in a while. You guys have won 2 Super Bowls. We won the 2, lost them both. It's all right. But things are about to change. I got a feeling. Woo! Still at work. Got my earbuds in. All right. I'll try not to talk too loud for you, Chris. I don't blow your earbuds out, your eardrums out. And yes, Josh, Anthony Munoz is the GOAT, greatest Bengal ever. Exactly. All right. Let me see here. I got a couple more things. Now, this is a cool thing. Now, I have called the Bengals kind of like the Cincinnati Bayou Bengals because we've gotten so many former LSU players here. And this is kind of cool how a couple LSU alums got together Saturday night after the Bengals whooped the Buccaneers. So you got Burrow, Big Daddy Bayou, you got Uno. So they're all got their LSU fingers up. So that's kind of cool. And I mean, LSU's no joke. They got a lot of good guys coming out of there, and a lot of them are on our team. And the thing, a lot of that championship team that LSU beat Clemson are on the Bengals. Those are good things to have. All right, let's see here. The Nachos. Chatbot Joey says the Ratbirds are worried this year. Yes, they are. And Natural says the Browns are overrated. I agree with you. And Knox says McPherson is our Tucker. I'm telling you. I think that, and I've said this before, I think Evan McPherson is going to be a freaking weapon. As the Bengalorian calls him, the leg cannon. We get to the 50-yard line, we can score on a pretty consistent basis. I don't know if we're going to kick every time from the 50-yard line, but I don't think we're going to be scared to do it because, dude, the first kick in preseason, he kicked over the freaking net. It's pretty good. Pretty daggone good. All right, Josh, what are your thoughts on Brandon Allen? My thoughts on Brandon Allen are he's a very good backup, and I was right and Jeremy was wrong. Where I said we didn't need to go get a veteran. We had Brandon Allen, who performed very well last year after Joe Burrow got hurt, and I think he's performed even better, having a full year in the system. So I think we got a really good backup quarterback. Now, I want him to just sit on the bench and, take notes all year. But, All right, let's see. Jack, you're back. What's up? The only thing I'm afraid of is T. Higgins becoming A.J. Green. Oh, he will. As a Ravens fan, I still get some PTSD flashbacks from him scoring on us. Other than that, I'm fine. Hey, Jack, you might want to watch out for Chase too. And then, we got Boyd too. And we also got Mixon. Forgot about that. We got Uzama too. And Thaddeus. Should I go on? We got a lot. So it's going to be a lot. I mean, put it this way. I'm not saying we're going to crush the Raptors. I mean, honestly, I have us splitting with everybody in the division. I do. I think it's a very tough division. I don't think we're going to roll over anybody. I think every win we get is going to be hard fought, especially in the AFC North. I think the AFC North is, if not the hardest division in football, is definitely up there. It's one of the hardest divisions in football. So it's going to be a lot of fun this year to watch the Bengals play the Clowns, the Ratbirds, and the Squealers. It'll be very, very fun. Josh, the Rook looked like the Rook looked like he's gonna be a stud kicker. Yeah, I like I said, I've seen him a lot on the practice field, and what I'm hoping what they do with Cyber is, which I think it's gonna be hard to do because everybody knows the Bengals are going to cut him, but it would be nice if we could trade him for a 5th round pick or something and just get a pick. But like I said, everybody knows that the Bengals are going to release him. So unless somebody gets very desperate, which Cyber's going to be one of the last cut because I think the Bengals are going to try to trade him and just dangle him out there and see if we can get something for him. That would be really nice, but we'll see. Let's see here. Jacob. I'm thinking Drew Sample will be a weapon this year. He's going to be a piece. I don't know about a weapon. I think last year, I think he was he plateaued, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think there's a lot more there. I think Uzama and Thaddeus have more upside, but hey, I could be wrong. Any Bengal who gets better is fine with me. Josh says, I think Uzama will be more of the weapon than Sample. I agree with you on that. And I got something else real quick here. I'll get back to the comments here in a second, just to let everybody know. Because, we got the new stripes and everything and the different uniform combinations. So this Friday night, it's going to be the white tops with the black pants. I think it's badass. I can't pick which one's my favorite. I really can't. There's so many that I like the combinations of. So that's the combination for this Saturday night, or excuse me, Friday night, not Saturday night, Friday night against the football team, which hopefully eventually they might change their name so we have something to call them instead of the football team. That would be good. Okay, let's see. Let's get back to the Ravens fan. Jack Mixon will be pretty much non-existent when playing us, especially when he can't stay healthy. Okay. Again, with the can't stay healthy. Last year, just like Jonah Williams, if the Bengals were in a playoff run, Joe Mixon would have been back. So he didn't come back for the second half of the season, he would have. It's not that big of an injury. Trust me, he's going to be fine. And he's going to torch you. Jacob Sample made some good strides last year while he got a chance. Yes, I agree. He did make some very good strides. I just think that he with Uzama being there, I don't think he's going to get as much of a chance as he did last year. And maybe I'm wrong, but Uzama was really clicking with Joe last year. And maybe I'm reading in a little bit too much to it. I don't know, but the first week or two, that was like one of his favorite targets. So, yes, Carl Lawson tears his Achilles. Yes, Jack, I said that at the beginning of the show. You should join the show at 5:30. I already said that. But yes, unfortunately, Carl Lawson has tore his Achilles, and he is done for the year. That stinks for the Jets. But like I said, and I'm not trying to, and I said this before, Jack, I'm not trying to dance on anybody's grave. I'm not. But that's something that happens to the Bengals normally, and it's not so far. Knocking on wood, we'll see what happens. We're not through the preseason yet, but we haven't had any devastating injuries yet. Yes, we lost Adeniji, but that's it. Let's see here. Josh, first time wearing the whites, also the ones we wore the most in 2021. Yeah. So they're going to change it up a lot, and they got a lot of different combinations. I know somebody asked when I had Sarah Parker on here if they were going to do orange pants, and she said it's not in the works right now, but eventually they could. And I think that'd be kind of interesting to have the orange pants and some different color combinations there. Jack, I would give props to the Bengals. I always have. Bengals have always had sick uniforms. I like them. I love them. I think the helmet is the coolest helmet in the National Football League. Let's see. Natty. The O-line for the Bengals needs to play better, period. So are you saying they played bad last Saturday, Natty? Because they didn't give up any sacks. Yes, they need to play better. I agree, but you Bengal better, period. It sounds like you think they played awful. I saw strides forward. I saw Jonah Williams doing one of the most athletic things I've seen a left tackle do, kicking out there and getting out in front of Jamar Chase and getting that block. I saw Michael Jordan play a lot better than he played at all last year. I saw Deontay Smith play really well. Jackson Carman flashed a little, not a ton, but I saw more improvements than I saw deficits. And that's where I said, I'm like, this is the baseline. If Saturday night's the baseline and that's where their lowest point is, and they just get better from there, which is what should happen when you start the season, I think we're going to have a halfway decent offensive line. Yep, Josh, I agree with you. Orange pants would be fire. And Facebook user, you'll be in section 122. Awesome. I'll be in section 158 every single game. So if you were watching it on Facebook, do me a favor, let StreamYard use your name so you can have it pop up, or just go to my YouTube channel, Sports with Strawberry Ice, and subscribe, and your name will pop up and you comment there. I think I have something else before I get to the Reds. No, that is all I have right now. All right. Because I do have a segment that I recorded with the guy. Well, it's supposed to have been two guys from the Cincinnati Red Leg Report. Now, they are a radio station, and they also do the internet show live every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. Central Time. So it's 10 to 11 on here on ESPN on 102.7 ESPN Bowling Green. You can find it, and that's how I found it, on ESPN Radio, 1027.com. So I will be having them on here in a little bit, and we recorded that last night. It was supposed to be two of them. Todd wasn't able to join us. His co-host Jason will explain that when I get to the video here, but you guys are blowing the chat up, so I try to get to all of your comments here. The natural Mixon will have a big year. I agree. Stewart, yeah, I don't have to fuss with the Bengals O-line against the Bucs defense. No worries. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like the Buccaneers defense was legit. I mean, they're a legit front. And I know the starters were really out there for one, maybe two series of the offensive line, but they didn't touch Brandon Allen, so that's where I'm. And like I said, I'm not trying to get too overhyped about it, but it's a good start. Chris, with Smith not playing tomorrow, it's time for Carman to show out. Did Zach come out and say he's definitely not playing tomorrow? Because I did not hear that. I heard yesterday Zach said that it's up in the air if Smith will play or not. But I do agree with you. Carman, it'd be nice if Carman would step up and make some plays. Let's see here. Oh, you're at FedEx. Oh, I got you. What's your name? FedEx Facebook user. You're going to the game tomorrow night. That's awesome. You should definitely tweet me out some pictures from your seats and everything. That's cool. But like I said, let StreamYard have access to your name, or just go to my YouTube channel and subscribe there and comment. But that's awesome. You're going to the game tomorrow. I wish I was, but I'm actually tomorrow night. Not tomorrow night. I keep saying tomorrow night. Saturday night, we'll be down at Kitty's Sports Bar for the Orange Arrows Fantasy League Draft. So if you guys are anywhere around 5th Street, around, let me bring this up here real quick. Where is that at? Here. Yeah, there it is. Yep, second annual charity event at Kitty's Sports Bar, Saturday night, 4 p.m. So until whenever. So if you guys are anywhere around there, so that's what I'll be doing Saturday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. I got the Bengals game Friday night, fantasy draft on Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, let's see here. All right. Stewart says, Smith's not playing. Breaks my heart. No Smith, no Osai. Yeah, I don't know. I know Osai's not playing. I don't know Smith is not playing. I don't know that. Zach said that that was up in the air, depending on how he was recovering from the dehydration. And if he's not feeling well at all, I wouldn't play him. Just, let him have the night off. Natty says we'll see how the O-line holds up week 1 against the Vikings. Yep. I mean, we're really not going to know. That's going to be the big test. I agree with you on that. So, I mean, there's still, Stuart said, yeah, there's still a lot of unknowns. But the thing is, guys, what I like is there's only one position on that offensive line that is up for grabs. Spain is the other guard. And I always forget left to right, so I just say guard. Spain's at guard, and I think it's going to be Michael Jordan starting game 1. But it's still up in the air. It's still, they're still fighting for it. And that's the only thing that where the job is up for grabs. I mean, Spain or Hopkins is going to be your starting center. I think game 1, it sounds like it. So it's not like Billy Price played well. It's not like Billy Price is going to take Hopkins' job. So I am optimistic, as I am a lot on the show, about the offensive line, and I think it's going to be better than people think it is. Now, let's get to the interview I did last night, and stay afterwards after the interview because I will play the blacklight production of the Stripes hype video for the Bengals again. If you didn't see it at the beginning of the show, it's awesome. I'm going to play it again. But here is my interview last night with, I got to make sure I get their names right because, I do that time with Josh Huberson, especially Todd Smith, but Todd wasn't able to join the show. But here's that interview. All right, guys, got a very special episode today. I'm doing it from a different camera because I just got off the air and my other camera decided not to work. But I have a very special guest that I found these guys on Twitter. And they are from Bowling Green, Kentucky. They do the Red Legs Radio Report. I suggest you guys follow them on Twitter. They do a show each and every Saturday. But here, I only got one of them because the other one's out chasing his dogs. But Jason can give you some more on that. But welcome to the show, Jason. How you doing?
Hey, thanks, Jeff. Do I call you Iceman? Do I call you Strawberry Ice? I call you Jeff. What do I call you, buddy?
Just don't call me late for dinner. You call me whatever you want. I'll go with Jeff. I'll go with Iceman. It does not matter to me.
Okay.
So just tell the people that if they don't know you, tell them about your show and your partner, and just tell a story about why he's not here.
Yeah, I'll get into that a little bit later because like everything on our show, it's got a funny backstory to it. So, like you said, I'm Jason Harbison, and my buddy Todd Smith and I have been doing really a local, although it goes out over the web on the intrawebs, as we like to joke, out on 102.7 FM in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And if you're familiar with Bowling Green, Kentucky, we're about an hour north of Nashville off I-65, and we're the home of Western Kentucky University, as well as the only place in America where they make Corvettes. So
there you go. Oh yeah, the Corvette. Yes. Yeah. Well, they had a sinkhole hit that Corvette museum a couple years ago. I remember that.
Yeah, we made national news on that, and but here I am already derailing your show.
Yeah, now
like I do our show.
Corvettes now.
But yeah, so it was funny. The local minor league team, which is the Bowling Green Hot Rods. You know how like a lot of minor league teams will like maybe rebrand themselves for a weekend, and they'll maybe be something. They'll make their logos on their hats and their jerseys. They actually were the Bowling Green Sinkholes for like a whole weekend a couple years ago. Sold out the stadium. It's they're about the same size as like the Dayton Dragons. They were in the division with the Dayton Dragons for many years. But yeah, the Bowling Green Sinkholes, they had those, and I believe like some of the jerseys they sold out of. So that was a real hot ticket item. Here in the Bowling Green area.
Well, here across the river in Florence, Kentucky, we have an independent baseball team, and they switched their name to the Florence Y'alls now.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. Yeah,
because the big water tower there in Florence says "Welcome y'all," so they're the Florence Y'alls.
Yeah, but to answer the question that you asked me 20 minutes ago, because I got derailed, we do just I always say it's like a goofy little show on ESPN 102.7 FM there in Bowling Green. And we've been doing it. This is our 10th year that we've been doing it. And we're the farthest south and farthest west, if I could talk, affiliate for the Cincinnati Reds. And just through, I want to say a little bit of dumb luck and just the fact that I was telling Jeff off air that we don't usually get too hung up on a lot of stats. We like to talk more about like what sweatbands that Brandon Phillips wore or those kind of things. And the Reds front office just kind of, this is going to sound like a very humble brag thing because it really is. They have invited us year in, year out to Reds Fest. Of course, didn't have it this past year and not having it again this upcoming year because of COVID situation. But they've had us on the stage for the past 8 or 9 years, just bringing us one Reds guest after another, whether it's a former Reds alumni, broadcasters. So we've made some like really good friendships over the years with a lot of players and ex-players. And every week we always have a different Reds guest, which I'm still amazed week after week, the kind of people that will spend time with us to come on the show. And I, for as much as I'd like to take credit for the show, a lot of it is just because we get a lot of great Reds guests. And I will, as much as I love talking to the new guys, I would rather talk to some of the old alumni guys on there, and it never ceases to amaze me just what they say and just how baseball has changed and how they're seeing baseball today. It's just amazing. I go on and on about some of those.
Absolutely, you guys had, I think the last 2 episodes I listened to, you had Sam the Cure on there, and you had Mr. Perfect Tom Browning on there. So
yeah,
I mean, I was geeked out when I got Chris Welch on there. So I that's the only Red I've been able to get on here. I'm working on trying to get some other guys, but I know you can't see it because I don't have my camera. Other camera's not working, but I'm wearing my old school Chris Sabo jersey. That was my my favorite player growing up. So that's a guy I would love to get him on the show. So normally it's you and your partner Todd, and he had some interesting stuff happen to him today.
Yeah, so this is one of those like rip from the headlines kind of things. But so we're having some storms going on here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So if the power goes out all of a sudden in this interview, it's nothing personal.
It'll be short-lived.
yeah, exactly. So without getting into too deep of details with Todd's personal life or anything, he lives on a farm. If you ever heard our show, he talks about how he lives out in the country, and we've had storms, had a tree fall, and he called me frantically. And I knew, I was telling you off air, Jeff, that anytime Todd, 2 guys, we just text. You know, if something's really wrong, he's going to call. Right. And I've gotten maybe in the 22 years that I've known Todd, well outside of the radio show, I've gotten maybe like 3 calls from him. So I knew something was up. And he said that the tree fell on his property. And then it also, I don't know if this was in concert with that or not, but he had like a gate that flew open and his dogs got loose. So he's out chasing around. So if you're a dog lover, as I am, and I'm sure you are too.
Uh-huh.
That they're like family members. So I said, hey, I think I can handle this interview tonight, and he sends his deepest apology. So hopefully in the future, maybe if I don't screw things up, you can have him on sometime.
Absolutely, no problem. I mean, I totally understand the dog thing. I mean, at my house, I have. Well, I used to have it's still on the ground. I had one of those invisible fence, and somehow it got broke. And every once in a while, we still have to put our dog Buddy, I call him Buddy Houday, on a chain, which I hate doing. But sometimes I'll sit out there and he'll be out there hanging out with me in the yard or whatever. And if I don't pay attention to him, he's up the street. I'm like, oh man. And as soon as it's funny, if he hears my wife or my daughter yell for him, he doesn't come back. If he hears me, Buddy, he's whoop, and he bolts back. I'm like, get in here. I love you. I'm so mad at you. You're not supposed to do that. Stay in my yard. So, but yeah, I totally understand going after the dogs. But let's get into some Reds talk about what's going on with the Reds and their season right now. Unfortunately, they lost to the Scrubs, and that's what I refer to the Cubs. I call them the Scrubs. I have the Scrubs. I have the Boozers. Excuse me, and I have the Tweety Bird. So I don't really try to call anybody from the NL Central by their real name. But the Scrubs, they beat the Reds today 7-1 for their second loss. Not looking too good right now for the Reds.
No, it really isn't. We said on the show last week that I felt when they played the Pirates almost 2 weeks ago now that it was almost fool's gold because everybody was getting all excited. And of course, I don't know how much of it was the offense was clicking on all cylinders or the fact that the Pirates were just that bad. So I think it was probably a combination of both. But I mean, seeing what we saw, I guess, against the Cubs, they should have easily swept them as well. Of course, that first game, I believe it was Monday night, that they were just playing the same way that they had played the Pirates before.
They literally had a half inning that lasted a half an hour.
yeah. That was, I believe that was the game that Joey Votto got his 2000 hit, and then also his 2001 hit in the same inning, and they said
same inning. Yeah, then Henry came in and gave up 5 runs. Luckily, we scored 8.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. We've talked about on our show too a lot that the bullpen woes, and you mentioned Sam LeCure, and I'll go back and kind of touch on that a little bit. But yeah, we were kind of asking him and prodding him because, of course, as a Reds affiliate, we can't really say, "Man, this bullpen sucks, doesn't it, Sam?" Tell us what you think. We know you work for the Reds, and we sort of kind of work for the Reds as well. So he's not really going to say much, but he did kind of go out on a limb a little bit and say, yeah, there have been a lot of speed bumps. Those guys wear it on their sleeve a little bit, So, I mean, they feel it as well. I mean, for every tweet that they see or complaint, I mean, they hear, it's weighing heavy on them.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I've kind of said on my show. And I mean, I've been hard on mostly Bob Castellini. I mean, because I put this at his feet. I mean, because he didn't spend any money on the bullpen. He actually took away from it. So, and people who watch my show have heard me go on about this all summer and how frustrated I am with it because this team has everything else. I really do. If we had a serviceable bullpen, or if we had a lights out bullpen like we did back in 1990 with the Nasty Boys, we could win this whole thing, I think. But unfortunately, and I am as most optimistic person as there is out there. But in my heart of hearts, I just don't see us making. We're not going to win the division. We're 9 games out right now. I don't see us even making the wild card. And even if we do, we're most likely to play a 1-game playoff game against the Dodgers.
Right.
They're pretty good. So I'm all for it. I'll sign up for it. I like to see it happen, but I don't know if it's going to happen this year for them or not.
Well, yeah, I'm really the same way with it because, growing up in Ohio, I'm a Reds fan first and a broadcaster second. So, I mean, you're always going to have that kind of homer vibe for you that I'm sure that I know you probably wrestle with as well, Jeff. But, yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. And I'm kind of glad that Todd's not here because I can steal some of his lines that he would normally say. But he brought up a good point the other day that it's like, had maybe they not waited that close to the trade deadline and maybe made a move for the bullpen a little bit earlier in the season, they could have kind of gotten through this maybe a little bit better and not lost those games. Because I think the thing that's going to mount up on the Reds and maybe be the reason why they don't get a playoff spot, of course, probably the wild card spot now as it stands, is they could look back on a handful of games, maybe, a dozen games where had they, exactly. I mean, they could have just gone back and not had a bullpen kind of blow this issue like a game that was in hand, they can look back on that and be like, hey, that could have catapulted us even closer either to the Brewers or right into like the first wild card spot. Who knows?
Right, exactly. And that's just the frustrating thing to me. And I completely agree with you. And I've gotten this argument with guys at work, and this one guy is like, well, they couldn't have made the trade they made with the Yankees. They couldn't have made that earlier in the year. They would have had to give up a lot more. And my thing I've been saying all year is sometimes you don't choose the season. Sometimes the season chooses you. And this year, baseball chose to let the Reds have a shot at winning the playoffs. And when we were 4 games out at the All-Star break, to me, that was the time to go make a trade. If it cost you, I'm not saying go give up Lodolo or Hunter Green or somebody like that, but give up somebody. Could we have an excess of outfielders? Have an excess of infielders? They could have tried to put something together, I think, to at least get something to help this bullpen. And I kind of feel the same way once they made the trade for the guys they got now, which is great, but we were 8 games out. And I'm like, is it too? And now the thing I came on my show, is it too late? And so it's just a frustrating year. I mean, you talk about the games that they've blown. The one that sticks out in my mind is the game out there in San Diego, where Jonathan India and Tyler Stevens hit the back-to-back home runs, I think, to tie it up. And then the very next inning, the bullpen blew it right back to him. I think in that same series, was that the same game? They had a 6-run lead, and the bullpen turned around and gave up 6 runs in the very next inning.
Yeah, it was definitely out on the West Coast. I can't remember what team it was, but I know what you're talking about. And really, you could also pinpoint, I believe it was last week when Votto, there was like 1 out in the 9th, down 2 runs, came back and tied the game up, and ended up losing it an extra. And it actually had the lead at the top of the 11th, ended up giving up, I believe it was Sims came in.
Yeah.
He was just soon off of the IL and gave up like a 2 or 3 run home. I believe it was against Atlanta. I can't remember. I'm getting old, but yeah, it was last week. And that was one of those games that I think you can look back on. I mean, especially to do it on the road against another team that was fighting it out for the top of the East division. That to me, I think those couple games like that are going to come back to haunt the Reds in the long run when they miss the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the games that you can't miss. And it's just like the 99 team. I mean, if you win one more game in that last series versus the Milwaukee Boozers, you're in the playoffs. We don't play the Mets in the 1-game playoffs. We don't face Outlighter. 1 game. That's all it took. And I think there's been at least 10. I'm saying 10 games, and I'm not even exaggerating. There might be more games where we had the lead, and this team has fought and clawed and scratched, and they don't give up. And that's why I absolutely love the team here. And it absolutely kills me for guys like Joey Votto and Jonathan India, who should be Rookie of the Year, and Nick Castellanos and Jesse Winker, and all these guys that they've tried so hard and they've come back off the mat for this season to unfortunately look like it's going to fall short. It's just frustrating for those guys. For me.
It really is too. And to kind of go back to what you were saying earlier, Jeff, too, about how we had Tom Browning on this weekend. See how I wedged that in there seamless? So seamless. So seamless.
Perfect.
But he was saying that he talked to Rick Stowe, of course, the clubhouse manager, and he said, if you ever, and this really hit home to me, and this is so true. He said, if you ever want to know about a true team outside of TV, outside of what you see just in the broadcast or what's going on in the box score, ask the clubhouse manager. He will tell you. And he was saying that he said that he hasn't seen a chemistry like this, just the looseness of the guys in the clubhouse. He hasn't seen this for many, many years. And he said there's something in the air, and it's just a chemistry. And he says he can't quite put his finger on it, but he says it's definitely different.
Exactly. Now we've kind of crushed them here, about how the season has gone. But looking to the future, even if, which I hope they re-sign him, even if they lose Nick Castellanos, the future is bright for the Reds. I mean, we got a lot of young guys on here. I mean, I just talked about Hunter Green and Lodolo that are in the minors, and they could be in our starting rotation next year. You have Jose Barreto, who could be our starting shortstop next year. There's a lot of good stuff, and hopefully the Reds will make the necessary adjustments in the offseason to improve this bullpen. So it's not like the Reds are going away anytime soon, I don't think, because there's a lot of good young players and a young core that's coming back regardless. I mean, if they don't sign anybody, there's most of them that are coming back for 2022.
Yeah, that's so true. And really, I think as much as I don't want to say this, Gray's probably gone next year as well. and Castellanos, with him having Boris as his Scott. I always call him Brosauce or something else that I screw up his name, but I think that both those guys are gone. But you mentioned Lodolo and of course Hunter Green. Those guys coming up out of the minors, red hot right now. Other than Green got thrown out of the game last night, but
right. Other than that,
he's. I think that there's so much raw talent, which is something that the Reds haven't had for a long time, short of like one or two guys coming up through the minors where you can say, oh, yeah, this guy was our first-round draft pick. You can look back at Stevenson and some of those guys. But there's such a good group of core guys coming up. And, I mentioned the Bowling Green Hot Rods earlier. That's one thing that I'm super sad about, that they used to be in the Dayton Dragons division, and they've kind of realigned them. So the Reds affiliate, i.e. the Dayton Dragons, don't come to town anymore, where they used to come a lot. So, but the nice thing about it is that we're not that far from Nashville, as I mentioned, and they've got the Nashville Sounds down there, which are a AAA affiliate for the Brewers. What'd you call them? The
Boozers.
The Boozers, yeah.
Yeah, the Sounds used to be the AAA affiliate for the Reds back in the day.
Right. They actually at their old stadium they had a bunch of old. Here I am derailing the show again. Sorry. They had a bunch of old. Like a lot of that '90 team that you spoke of came through Nashville.
Mm-hmm. They did,
and they had a bunch of all of their kind of their pictures down there. But anyway, I've gone down to cover a couple of games because, of course, the Louisville Bats are in the same division now that the Sounds are. So getting to see those guys come up. I haven't seen Lodolo yet. Of course, he just moved up not that long ago. But looking forward to seeing some of his stuff. But just Hunter Green is just, his stuff is amazing. And to be as young as he is and have that much control over his fastball, not just going out there and throwing 105-mile-an-hour stuff. I mean, I think that he's the future is so bright for him.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of people clamoring up here in Cincinnati to bring him up like since opening day, and I'm like, hold on. I was like, he throws 105,
right?
But it's all straight. He's got to work on his secondary pitches, and I don't want to happen to Hunter Green what happened to, in my opinion, Homer Bailey. He got brought up, I think, way too quick, and he never, in my mind, really got to the point where I thought he got. Yes, he did pitch 2 no-hitters in back-to-back seasons, but he's never was the number one guy. He was never one that the Cy in the Cy Young Award race or anything like that. And that's where I think that Hunter Green can get to. We also had that with Aroldis Chapman. He threw 105 miles an hour. We needed a bullpen. We wanted him to be a starter, so they made him a closer, and he never went back to being a starter. So that's 2 cases where we had guys that had a great arm, but the Reds had moved him up too fast, and that's what I don't want to happen to Hunter Green. And I think they're doing a pretty good job of holding him back because, let's face it, he's come back from injury, and he didn't pitch last year. There was no minor league baseball, so he's making a lot of progress with where he's at.
Yeah, and really the way that guys come up to the minor league system anymore, the way that it's changed, and especially with the draft being this year, especially being down to like 20 rounds. And of course, last year, I think it was even less than that because of, really the COVID shortened season. So you're not going to see guys anymore like those 90s team guys that we talked about that may have been Chris Sabo, some of those guys that you talked about, they were in the minors for what seemed like forever. Right. I mean, nowadays, if you're in the minors for over 4 years, then they're basically shipping you out. There's very few times where you have those like crafty Crash Davis type veterans that you see from like the movie Bull Durham.
Right.
So I think that there's like a happy medium, like you're saying, Jeff, too, that I think that they don't want to rush him up there. And I'll be the first one to say, I know we were talking about pitchers here, but I thought that Jonathan India coming up at the beginning of this season, especially with last year, he was at the alternate site that was basically just playing practice games all season. I thought he wasn't ready yet. I'm glad I'm wrong.
You're not the only one. All of us were wrong on him. Yeah. I mean, I've talked about him on the show, and I'm glad you brought him up because I did want to get to which I think he should be the rookie of the year. But he went from a guy that really wasn't on the radar to make the team this year, and if he did, he might be a bench guy, to starting at second base, to being right now the candidate, I think, in first place to get the rookie of the year, to leading off, and he has solidified that leadoff spot. He's the best leadoff hitter I think we've had probably since Pete Rose. I mean, I can't think of another guy who has led off and it just changed the whole dynamic of that lineup with his ability to not only get on base, but to hit home runs to start the game off. I mean, Jonathan India had a absolutely amazing year this year.
Well, it's almost like you mentioned too about like moving him to the leadoff spot. That it was almost like an awakening for him. I mean, he wasn't doing bad lower in the order, but it's almost like he just like woke up and just, I don't know, just set the world on fire as soon as they found a spot for him in that lineup, and he just took it and ran with it. And you're right, I can't think of anybody. I mean, I know Billy Hamilton was going to be the next greatest thing as the leadoff.
Well, he's another one. They brought him up too fast. I mean, that's where I think he needs. I mean, that kid, if he just hits the ball on the ground, he's going to get a hit almost every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the future is bright. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer on the Reds. The future is bright for this organization. And even if they do, like you said, you think Sonny Gray might be gone. Even if they do sign him, like I said, we have Lodolo and Hunter Green in the wings. I'm hoping if they do trade him, that they get some relief pitchers. And I would like a stocked bullpen this year. That would be nice. And I know we had a lot of injuries in the bullpen this year. We lost TJ Anton back in May, and we lost Lucas Simpson. And at that time, they were the only two we really could count on.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't even brought up Garrett yet. I mean, he has been such an enigma this year.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot put my finger on what is wrong with him, because sometimes he'll come out and he looks like the old Garrett, and then 2 days later he can't get anybody. He couldn't get you or me out.
Yeah, I mean, Garrett, you're exactly right. I think enigma is a great name for for Garrett, because he's almost like the Adam Dunn of pitching. It's either a home run or you strike out kind of thing. But I'm not sure what's really going on with that whole kind of thing, the whole AG thing, and kind of like the alternate personality. And I'm sure I could probably go down like a really weird road here on your show with that. But you're exactly right though on the bullpen. And I'll tell you one thing that really surprised me. You mentioned like the injuries that they had. The one guy I thought for like a little bit of an interim there that was kind of holding it together, albeit I'm using air quotes, the together, was Hembree, I thought. And then for them to DFA him this week, I thought was, granted he had some really bad outings here recently, but I thought that he was a guy that was kind of holding it, what little bit of a bullpen together when those guys were injured. He was, there was a time there where people were saying in the broadcast, and even myself on our show, it's like, hey, this guy should be the closer. Well, We found out once that, they signed some of those other guys here at the trade deadline that wasn't really the case. DFA'd him this week. So maybe that's a sign of things to come. Maybe the Reds are going to be like, hey, listen, we can bring some guys up here. We got guys. Now, granted, it's going to be different when it comes time to expand the rosters. We don't get to expand. I say we like I work for the Reds, but the rosters aren't going to be expanded to all of those players that they normally have. They're only going to get to have about 2 or 3 guys. I forget what the exact number is when the rosters expand in September. So I think that's going to be really interesting to kind of see down the stretch.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and Heath Hembree, he was our closer for a good couple weeks. And I kept saying, I'm like, I like him coming in, but it wasn't like, I'm like, oh, okay, Hembree's coming in. He still was walking that line, of success and failure. And Jeff Brantley, I brought up a really good point the other day. Actually, it was last night that Hembree pitched, where how Hembree takes his time. He does that little thing with the shoulders and then calms down. Brantley said he has gotten even slower, and he says all that does is put the batter at ease, and it puts your infielders to sleep. He said he thinks that had a lot to do with what Hembree faults were as far as not being as successful as he was earlier in the season.
Yeah, and it goes back to one of Brantley's famous sayings, the checkup from the neck up,
right?
Which I totally agree with. All of those guys, I'm just basically pilfering what Brantley says all the time, but
I do too.
Yeah, all those guys, were like the all-stars of their local high school, or even one of the 2 best players maybe in their college team, worked their way up through the minors. So I mean, they obviously have a right to be there. You and I never made the major. I don't know. Maybe you did, Jet.
Nope.
Okay.
No, I played high school baseball. That's as far as I got.
that's farther than I played as a I'm derailing your show too. I'm sorry. I played as like a freshman, but it wasn't even the school team. It was just a freshman, like
right.
like the local thing. But no, really, I think what it is just kind of the mental fortitude that some of those guys maybe don't have. just because they've always been the guy on a team. Then all of a sudden you get up to the majors where it's not a game of inches anymore. It's a game of, centimeters.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And that can make or break your season or really your career.
Exactly. I mean, now let's get into, as you alluded to, is Henry or Garrett, excuse me, you said is like the Adam Dunn of pitching. Well, a guy who's reminding me a lot of Adam Dunn's career right now is Eugenio Suarez. And I remember when Adam Dunn first came up, and he said this on the Sean Casey podcast, the Mayor's Office, if you ever listened to that, where Adam Dunn, when he first came up, he was an on-base percentage guy. He didn't just, he hit the bombs, but he also hit singles too. And then he went and did a swing change or something. And he said he could never get it back. That's where Gino is to me. It almost feels like he's trying to hit every ball out of the ballpark. And that year, 2 years ago, where he hit 49 home runs, it might have not been a good thing for him because he has not been able to be the same person since then. And I've said this on my show. I had Lance McAllister on here, and he's on 700 WLW here in Cincinnati, a local broadcaster. And I said to him, this was back in the middle of the season, I said, this is not a slump. This is more of how Gino is now, because he hit like this last year. And it's been like that all year. And that kind of brings me to, since we have India at second base and Barrett's probably be a shortstop next year, what do you do at third base? You have Gino and you have Moose. Obviously, they would probably like to trade one of them, but I don't know if either one of them are tradable. You have Gino, who is not hitting like he used to. Moose can't stay healthy. So I don't know what to do at third base. I think that's going to be an interesting thing that they try to figure out in the offseason.
Yeah, and you're right. Suarez has been given so much rope this season, and a lot of people were saying that, like, oh, well, last year, it was such a short season anyway. He didn't really get his sea legs under him, so to speak. So with it being the shortened 60-game season, but I think we're still kind of seeing a continuation of that. And he's probably going out there, I don't know if you can say trying too hard, but it's got to weigh on him heavy because he knows he can do it. His 2019 season was one of the best seasons that a Red has had in a long, long time. And especially if you see, but I can't imagine what it's like for him to see a bunch of these young guys, whether it's Stevenson, India, all those names you mentioned, Winker, Castellanos, knowing that he can perform at that level, but he's not really, you can say good vibes only all you want, but he's not performing at the level that they are performing at. Right. And it's got to weigh on him, again, back to the checkup to the neck up, so heavy that I think deep down he's just like going out there and not really playing the game that he knows how to play, and he's trying to hit those 4-run home runs when he's going up there to the plate.
Yeah, and I love Gino. He's one of my favorite players, and I hate seeing this, but I'm a Reds fan, and I want the best players out there. And right now, Moose should be out there, but that just kind of, I don't know what to do with him moving forward. It's just going to be very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting offseason. Because we know they're going to get rid of some people,
right?
Unfortunately, I'm hoping they add people to it this year, because I would love Nick Castellanos. I love that dude. I don't say that very much to another man, but I love Nick Castellanos. That guy is awesome, and if there's any chance, he likes winning, but he's got Scott Boras as his agent. He's going to have him opt out. Maybe we'll get lucky, and Nick will say, no, I'm going to opt in, but I would be surprised. I'm going to really miss him not being a Red next year.
Yeah, I think you're going to miss both his glove and his bat. I hate to say it too, but he's probably gone next year. As much as I don't want to see him go, I know they're going to have to take down some banners and stuff at the stadium, or maybe take down some of the banners that they covered up,
Right.
recently. But I think if there's somebody that can take his place, I don't know that anybody can take his place. The numbers.
Well, I thought maybe the Punisher could, but he hasn't been hitting. He's never gotten back to where he was 2 years ago.
Right. Yeah, and really, I think that I talk about both of the A's, Akiyama and Aquino, and Akiyama, I don't think has really hit his potential yet. I don't know if we're going to see it or not. It's interesting. I've actually got a friend that I grew up with that growing up north of Dayton. There was like a Honda plant that I grew up near, and a lot of the Japanese engineers would come over. I'm derailing your show again. And anyway, I've got a friend that I've kept in contact with that I went to high school with that was a big Akiyama fan over in Japan. And he's like, oh, this guy is the next Ichiro. He was great over here. I'll still keep in contact with him. And he keeps saying, oh, man, you got to take Naquin out. The reason, Naquin's still in there. It's just funny to kind of hear his perspective on this. And I'm like, I tell him in a nice way because I'm friends with him. I'm like, man, I mean, he's been given every opportunity. Now, granted, last year, again, I know it was kind of a struggle with the shortened season and just the change of scenery, the change of this side of the globe for him.
Countries. Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of, and of course, unfortunately, what happened to his wife in the off season with all that. So, I'd like to think that he's going to maybe come around, but I think maybe we've seen what we're going to see out of him too. So who knows if he'll be on the trading block too.
Yeah, that is unfortunate because I'm a big Shogo fan because I mean last year when they won the 7 series at the end of the season to get into the playoffs, Shogo was a big part of that,
right?
And he showed what he could do, and he started off the season injured, and David Bell when he got back wouldn't play him mostly because Nyquin was just killing the ball, and here lately Nyquin has cooled off. He started to keep back up again, but Shogo got his opportunity and really didn't do much with it, but he's a hell of a defensive center fielder. I give him that. So that there's gonna be a lot of different things that are options and just what the Reds are going to do. But it's going to be an interesting offseason. Hopefully, we'll be talking about coming off a playoff run. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
yeah,
Jason, I appreciate you've been on for half an hour. I loved your guys' show. Tell everybody again where they can follow you, when you're on, and all that good stuff.
Oh, thanks so much first off, thanks so much for having me on. And I do mean this when I said it on the show last week that when we were coming out, well, myself coming on now without Todd, that we don't normally just come on anybody's show. And I'm like, I looked you up, and I watched some of your show. And don't sell yourself short. You've been getting some big guests there. I mean, you had Dan Horde on the other day and stuff. So I've been watching. I'm not a Bengals fan at all, but I know enough about them to get me in trouble and stuff. So we appreciate you having us on, and keep up the good work because I know sometimes this is a thankless job. There's many times where Todd and I are like, I don't want to get up another Saturday morning to do this. So, which is a great segue. We're on every Saturday morning throughout the season on ESPN 102.7 in Bowling Green, and you can also hear us on ESPN 102.7. I screwed it up. ESPN. I only say it like 50 times a show.
I know.
It's ESPN Radio 1027.com, which is streaming live, and then also all of our past shows. You can go on that same website and go back and listen. And like I said, every week we always have a former Red, a current Red, or a broadcaster on. You name it, with the exception of Chris Sabo. We haven't had him on yet.
You get Sabo on, send him my way.
Okay, yeah, we'll do. I've talked to him.
I got the little. I got to show you this. Well, my other camera would have. I say I have a Chris Sabo bobblehead. That's with my other camera was working. You could see it.
I've got one back here as well. It's very deep, and all of this is usually how we get paid to do a radio show. We get bobbleheads,
right?
But when I wouldn't say that he's like the white whale that I want to get yet, but I've talked to him just in passing at like some of the Reds functions behind the scenes, but we haven't actually interviewed him. And I'm hoping now that he's the coach of the Akron Zips, they come down and they play a lot of those teams from the MAC play the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers here in town. I'm hoping that maybe he'll be in our backyard.
Yeah, hey, like I said, if you ever get him, send him my way. Tell him about strawberry ice.
Will do.
All right, Jason. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, and make sure if you guys don't know about these guys down there in Bowling Green, Kentucky, go check them out. They're a lot of fun to watch. And again, I appreciate you coming on, Jason.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It would help if I turn my mic back on. That was Jason from Red Leg Radio. They have a show every Saturday on 102.7 ESPN. You can find it on the internet. It's Saturday mornings here in Cincinnati at 10 a.m. So make sure you guys check them out. Now, let's get to some news here that happened with the Bengals right before the show started. And this is from James Rapine reporting from All Bengals that the Bengals have reportedly worked out free agent defensive end Noah Spain on Thursday. And that's according to Aaron Wilson of Sports Talk 790 of Houston. I don't know who that guy is, but he's a defensive end. I would like them to try to work out some offensive linemen and see what happens there. Now, there's only like 5 people watching the show right now. So I want to end the show with, actually, let me get to the Facebook groups and let me live stream. And then I'm going to end the show with the Bengals hype stripe video, which was badass. And you guys, if you guys did not see it at the beginning of the show, you need to check it out. But I'd like to thank all the Facebook groups that let me live stream. Right now I'm on Who Dey Nation. Usually Who Dey Nation, Bengals Nation, Bengals Who Dey Nation, Cincinnati Bengals, The Jungle, and then the Reds group is Cincinnati Reds, rounding third, heading for home. Bearcat Country, the Ohio State Bucknuts, the Ice Bar, and then you can follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Twitter handle is at Jeff A. Trenopole. I'm on TikTok. You can find me there at Iceman90. If you missed any of the show, please make sure you go back and watch it, or you can check it out on the podcast. I'll be downloading the sound later on tonight and putting it up on the podcast. You can find it pretty much anywhere. BeanPod, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. Like I said, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. It's blowing up. I'm getting lots and lots of downloads, lots and lots of listens on the podcast. The YouTube show is blowing up. This has been great, and I owe it to all you guys watching me. My YouTubers, my originals, I am at 1,309 subscribers. That is awesome. And as always, I appreciate every single one of you guys. Tomorrow, I will have the Orange Arrow on the show, and we will be talking about his fantasy league, and we're going to have some freaking fun Saturday night. And if you guys are not in the league, just come down and have fun with us at Kitty Sports Bar. We'll be down there at 4 o'clock, start at 4 o'clock to whenever, doing a live draft. You can watch me draft and see how bad or awesome my team is going to be. I'm not sure exactly which one's going to happen. But other than that, as my boy, Jeremy Dimebag D's Nuts always says, remember one thing and one thing only, and that is you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati, so act like it. Who Dey? Stay tuned. If you're still watching and you didn't see the video, check it out. It's from Black Light Productions. It's called their Stripe Hype video. It is awesome. And other than that, that's just sports, baby. See ya!
Let's go. Stripes, stripes, stripes. Stripes, stripes, stripes. Yeah. Stripes, stripes, stripes. Yeah. Stripes, stripes, stripes. Yeah. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, who Dey, we ignite and Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and drippin' orange and black and white. Who Dey when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, every game day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle drippin' heat, tigers strike the city streets. East side stand up, west side stand up. If you reppin' who Dey, time to put your hands up. Bengals stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we get it. Cincinnati jungle fitted. Who Dey in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we